Hey everybody, it's me, John Ward, and I am back with another Dark Park Film Reviews. And on this video, we are going to be taking a look at three remakes that I think should not exist. Um, this video comes way after three videos that I made a while back. They were deconstructing videos. That's what I was calling them. And they were basically for three films that were kind of sequel remakes that I really enjoyed, but other people didn't. And I'll leave links for those down there so you could check them out. But they are The Grudge, Rings, and Blair Witch. So these were three films that I enjoyed. They're not perfect, but I enjoyed them, and I think that they got a bad rap. And so I wanted to make three separate videos, kind of just starting from, if I remember correctly, kind of the beginning to the end, just kind of doing a deep dive into these movies and explaining why I think they're good, even though they're flawed, that I think they're good and they're worth watching. And I'm glad that they were made. I'm probably going to follow up this video with three remakes I'm glad they made. And so I'm kind of putting those together. But for this video, these are three videos that I just don't think really should exist. And it's instead of doing deconstructing videos and putting out three separate videos, I'm just going to do one video talking about all three. And those three films are the remake of Poltergeist, and it's going to be the extended cut. Then the remake of Cabin Fever, and the remake of Child's Play. Like I said, I don't think that these films should exist. They're obviously cash grabs, or maybe it's a copyright thing, to where if they don't make something, they're going to lose the copyright to it. Why do I own these films when I think this way? Because I'm a completist and I'm an idiot. So they're in my collection. Sadly, I do have films that are in my collection, just so I can have the complete collection. There's going to be down the road another video that I might be doing with Philip Tricky, which are basically, I think it's like 10 films that are in our collection, but we don't know why they're really here. 10 films that we hate or really dislike that are in our collection for one reason or another. And I've already started to compile some. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to go off. I have this list here. Oh, there we go. You can kind of see it there. This is the list that I use over on Jonathan and Paul's channel, the Indie Film Cafe. Once a month, I do a review, and it's called Reviews After Midnight. And I use this list to go off of when I review those films. I've now started to use this list for my own reviews over on my channel. So I'm going to use this to go off of. I just rewatched these today, all three back to back, and I've seen each of them a couple of times, maybe a few times. So hope I have I think a pretty fresh perspective on these. So let's look at the first one here. So this is the remake of Poltergeist. And it has both the theatrical and extended cuts. So it has two versions of the film. I know I've seen the theatrical cut once. and this would be my second viewing of the extended cut. Which, if it's, I wonder if it tells me here. It says 94 minutes, but I'm not, I think yeah, it's actually it's an unrated extended edition, but it doesn't tell me. I think it's like an hour and 40 minutes, where the theatrical one is 94. Oh, there's also an alternate ending to it. So I really hated this movie when it came out. I think I saw the theatrical version and just really hated it. I was not going to buy it, but I do own the original three Poltergeist movies. So I thought, what the hell? I'll check out the extended cut. And I did think it was better than the theatrical cut. So going off my list here, it asks for a film title. We got that, Poltergeist, the extended cut. Uh, do you want to give a star rating? So if I had to give this, let's say, like one out of, like up to five clowns, we'll say, because of the cover here, I would probably give this two out of five clowns. Um, it's not as horrible as I remember, but it's still one of the things I'm saying about all three of these films is they just don't really have a soul. They're very Hollywood. They're very much, it seems like, by committee. I don't know 100% why they were made, except to make money or hold the rights for each film. Um, I appreciate the extended cut of this, even though I really don't remember much of the theatrical one. I don't hate having this in my collection, but it just, well, let me say, for each film is nicely shot. Each film is nicely edited. Each film has a good score. And I'll even go as far as saying each film is well directed. I think it's the screenplay. So I might want to blame the studio and the screenplay. Uh, the director of this is Gil Keenan, and this is from Sam Raimi's company. This is Ghost House Pictures. So Sam Raimi and Rob Tappert produced this. It says here, unrated extended version contains material different from the original PG-13 version. Then it also says extended. The theatrical version, PG-13, intense, frightening sequences, brief, suggestive material, and some language. So okay. So what did you expect from the film? What do you really expect from like sequels, requels, remakes, and stuff these days? You're pretty much let down. And I just remember hating this. The one thing that I really hated about it was the son. And so we have the wannabe Carol Ann, and the little girl who does this, and I hate to bash on a little girl, but she's awful. She is not good in this at all. She is no Carol Ann. And then you have the son who's in the middle, who is afraid of everything. The mother mentions that the reason why he's probably afraid of everything is because she lost him at a mall. The dad says, well, that was 3 years ago. He needs to get over it. The mom wants to take him to therapy. And I really hated that character when I originally saw it. I just thought, just what a wimp. What, this kid's pathetic. Um, I just, I don't like him at all. And then there's the oldest daughter who's just like the bitchy 16 or 17-year-old daughter who's always on her phone. So, but strangely, well, okay. So, and then you have the parents that are, they're really trying to play off of the original parents. The one thing I will say, okay, well, I'm keep getting ahead of myself. So what did I expect from this film? I don't know. Probably with all of them, just to be entertained, just to not be bored. And I have to say, for all three of these, I was not bored. Um, I think Child's Play is the one maybe that I paused the most. Food, drinks, bathroom, whatever it might be, go see what the cats are up to, that type of thing. But I was not bored with any of these. So I was entertained by them, even though I don't think, looking at these, if somebody says, let's watch Poltergeist, they're not talking about this. If they say, let's watch, Cabin Fever, they're not talking about this. If they say, hey, let's watch Child's Play or a Chucky movie, they're not talking about this. They're talking about the original Poltergeist. They're talking, directed by Toby Hooper and produced by Spielberg. They're talking about Cabin Fever, written and directed by Eli Roth, and they're talking about the original Child's Play or any of the Child's Play or Chucky movies that also include the TV show. So we got, the first one directed by Tom Holland and written by Don Mancini. Uh, they're not going to be talking about any of these films, which is why I think that they just could not exist and nobody would care. Um, it's so so I guess I could say, I guess I was expected just not to be bored, and I was not bored. So it achieved that. So credit there. Um, and that would go for all three of them. So what type of film is it, and does it have a message? Well, it's a horror film. It's a haunting, it's a poltergeist. Um, and it's more or less kind of a one location movie. It's all in the house. So it's a horror film. It's a ghost movie, supernatural. Does it have a message? None. Zero. Nothing at all. Nope. 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 I don't know if this is meant to be like about electronics, because there's a lot more dealing with electronics. It almost kind of hints at that 5G type of thing, and with the towers and a lot of the just electrical systems that are now within the house, that it's a lot more electronic than the first film is, which I guess is okay. So I guess maybe it has that message. What happens in the film? Uh, it's the same but different from the first movie. It's Sam Rockwell's character gets laid off. He was working for John Deere and he gets laid off. So I guess they have to buy a cheaper house because he's out trying to find a job. I would have figured they're moving into the house because he just got a job, but he doesn't have a job. And they move into the house, and the immediately, all of a sudden, what is her name? Let me look up her name because she's um so Sam Rockwell is Eric Bowen. Uh Marie DeWitt, who I think is gorgeous, is his wife. So Amy. The daughter is Kendra. Kaylee. Some of these people's names I'm not going to be able to get, so I'll probably just skip them. Just let you know. You guys know I have problems with names. Kyle Catlett. He plays Griff. He's the one that's afraid of everything. Uh, and then it looks like Kennedy Clements. No, Maddie Madison. So it also stars Jared Harris, who's always awesome. He plays Kindred Blake. I'm sorry, Kara Kerrigan. Yeah, I think Kerrigan. Burke. It's funny. It also has Nicholas Braun, who plays Boyd. He was in Succession. So Maddie, and I got to give this thing credit for definitely for this is nobody is named after the characters from the original movie. So it's a whole new family. It's a whole new house. The house is still on a cemetery. So it is this, they moved the tombstones, as they say in the film, to a nicer place. The bodies are still there. They used electronics to talk to Carol Ann, or to talk to Carol Ann, to talk to Maddie. And Maddie is, special. That's why they could talk to her. And she does get sucked into their world. There is a joke in the movie, which I do appreciate, where the parents are at a party, and it is brought up about them moving. They think the entire cemetery has been moved, bodies, tombstone, and all that, to a place that's like 5 miles down the road. Um, and they do make the joke like, "Well, your house wasn't built on an ancient Indian burial ground." Ha ha ha. And I did like that they do bring that up. Uh, and then that's when all the weird stuff happens. A lot of stuff from the original movie is left out. Some of it is in, but done to lesser effect. The tree is still there with the sun, but the tree is very CGI. The closet is still there, but it's, green screens are great. CGI is not necessarily great. So there's also, and then there's muck in the garage that the older daughter gets into. And the whole film is, it's like there's there. Well, let's continue with this. Does the plot make sense? I guess to a degree, sure, why not? With what they're telling us, with the bodies and the house being on top of it, and they, the only person who can get them to where they want to go is Maddie. Is it easy enough to follow? Sure. Is it believable? Yeah, sure. Why not from what they've told us? Um, there is the Zelda Rubinstein character has been replaced by Burke, who is now one of these reality show ghost hunter guys, and a group of paranormal investigators call him to the house. Uh, so it is done a little differently. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the remake of Fright Night, where instead of, having like a horror host that fights vampires, they now use a David Blaine type, like magician to fight the vampires. So they swapped it. And is it believable? Yeah, sure. Okay. To a degree, sure. Um, who are the main characters? We kind of went through that. What are they like? And we kind of went through that. Um, you don't really know. I mean, we know that the dad used to work for John Deere, but he got laid off. We know the wife is a wannabe writer, but she takes care of the kids. The daughter is the bitchy, like 16 or 17-year-old. Maddie is, I guess, just a kid. They don't really explain much with her, except later we find out that she, is gifted. Uh, and the son is afraid of everything. Uh, so, and we think maybe because the mom said of the mall incident that's why he's freaked out about everything. When I had originally watched this, the Griff character, the little kid, the son, really annoyed me. I hated him. I'm just like, man up, kid, deal with it. This time around, I actually liked him because he's the only one that really has a turn. He's the only one that starts off um as this scaredy cat, wimpy kid that's worried about everything. And then he has his moment. I'm blanking on the word that I want to use. He has his turn where you know, he when Maddie goes to the other side, um, he blames himself because he didn't help her. She was in her room asking for help when the closet was doing all of its weird stuff in the room. And he just said, stay away from the closet. And he ran out and he left her there. So he blames himself. So he then goes after her and saves her instead of the mom in the first film, saves Carol Ann. They drop from the roof or from the ceiling, and there's the rope. In this one, they have the same type of thing. They enter the closet, they got a rope, and they come out through the hole in the ceiling onto the mattress. And in this case, it's Griff who does that. So Griff has the biggest change in the movie, and I actually really like that. I thought that was pretty good. There is a slight change, I guess, with Burke that maybe he had originally, like everything he thought was kind of bullshit, and that was all for show, and that once we find out that everything in the house, just like the original movie, isn't over with, that we think it's done, but it's not, he does go back in to put an end to it. So he even has a little bit of like like a character turn. And God, I wish I could think of the word that I want to use. When a character changes, I'm just blanking on it. And maybe it will come to me. But you know what I'm talking about. Uh, so, and who are the actors portraying them? We just kind of went over that. Are they good in their parts? I don't really blame the little girl who plays Maddie. Just most kid actors are pretty bad. And she's, even when she gives the line of, they're here, it's not said like that. And I guess that they wanted to do it a little bit differently. And she just goes, they're here. And that's pretty much it. They're like, we're not going to do the original movie. We're going to do something different. This one also seems to combine a little bit of Poltergeist to the other side, because we do get to see what that side looks like when Griff goes in to try to save Maddie. Um, what is the camera work like? The camera work does have a few interesting movements and moments. I would have to say that it keeps the movie going. It looks good, it sounds good, and there's definitely some shots in it that I liked. So the directors just didn't walk through this movie. But in all three of these, there's just something that's missing. Something that's missing. Even though I thought that the camera work was and editing and the sound were fine, but it's just not the original movie. It just isn't. And I think because when you look at who directed this, it kind of told me, oh, okay. So this is The director of this, he originally, so he did Monster House, which is the animated film. He then did City of Amber and then Poltergeist. But a few years later, he was uh, at least one of the writers, and he was one of the executive producers on Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I thought was okay. He then was the director and writer and one of the executive producers on Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. That says a lot to me because I watched Ghostbusters Frozen Empire streaming. I made it through the opening scene where like these firemen and stuff and people at a dinner table get frozen, and then it goes to the Ghostbuster credit. I paused it and never went back to it. I thought it was so uninteresting and not thrilling that I didn't go back. And that's how I feel about Poltergeist. Is his stuff might look nice, it might flow, but it's just not interesting. It doesn't hold your attention. Even when Griff and Maddie fall through the ceiling, one, you know it's not over. And there's no real big dramatic build up to it. There's no tension. For when they fall out, I never felt like, oh my God, this is great. Because it's in the original, when it's a mother and her daughter, and especially when it's the youngest daughter, it means a lot more than the older brother who feels like shit that he left her in this room. It doesn't hold the same impact. So, it says what if there are special effects, what were they like? Yeah, there were special effects. There were a lot of CGI moments. Probably way too many CGI moments, not enough physical. The tree, except for when we just see it sitting outside the house, when it's the claw and it's going in after the sun, it's all CGI. A lot of this stuff is all CGI. And it just doesn't hold the same, once again, impact as the original movie. So too much CGI. Are there beautiful scenes? I wouldn't say there are beautiful scenes, but there are definitely nice scenes. There are some creative camera movements, and so it was fine. It looked good. It looked nice. Are there moments when the camera is used in an interesting way? There are. There is a scene of a faucet, and the camera is on the faucet, and we see the person's face in the faucet. I believe it's Sam Rockwell, and he has like worms and stuff in his face, but all that stuff is CGI. Did you enjoy the film? Um, yes and no. Like I said, I wasn't bored, and I don't have a problem with this being in my, uh, being in my collection. It's just kind of there. It's just kind of there. Uh, I recommend the other three movies definitely over this one. And then when you're done with the three, if you're really curious, check it out. If you want. It's Fox, might be on, I think Disney now owns Fox, so it could be on Hulu or maybe Disney. I don't know. Um, but it's yeah, it's just kind of there. What were its good and bad points? I kind of went over all that stuff. I didn't like the CGI. I thought the little girl who played Maddie was not very good. Um, Even the ending of the movie, they they try to do the ending of the original Poltergeist, which is brilliant when they're driving down the road and they go to the motel, and they take the TV and just roll it out the door and slam the door shut, which was hilarious. It's one shot. It's just one shot, and that TV comes out, and I remember the entire audience laughing. This one has them later. I think it says like 6 months later, and they're looking at a new house, and the realtor tells them, oh yeah, it's completely hooked up, it's all digital, it's oh, look outside, there's this tree that's been here since the dawn of time, and you just hear their cars speeding down the road, and they're kind of laughing and talking in the car as it drives away. They're like, yeah, let's get out of here. Then there's an alternate ending where in both endings we find out that Burke is alive, and then there's a kind of like a mid-credit sequence where it's Burke and then the woman from the paranormal investigators that they used to be married, and now they're doing a reality show together. And it's meant really to be kind of comic-y, kind of funny. Takes a little bit away from stuff because it is funny, but I mean, I didn't find it funny, but it's meant to be funny. And the the families in the car, and the oldest daughter's phone starts being really weird, and it's all like crackly and staticky, and then it starts ringing and it says unused or unknown user, and they throw it out the window, and and that and that's how it ends. um so I don't know. I'm not really sure I like either ending really. One is too long and one is probably too short, even though it's still only like one shot of the phone going out. um what scene did you particularly enjoy or remember? Why is it good? um I don't know. I don't really. I mean, it's hard when you're comparing it to the original. I mean, in the original, the guy is pulling his face off. I think the replacement scene for this is the guy from Succession. He's pulled up against the wall because his arm gets pulled through a wall, and it's a drill that's getting closer and closer to his face. I think that's the meant to be the replacement scene, and it's not nearly as good. So I don't know. I'm not really sure I can answer that. What scene did you particularly not enjoy, and why is it bad? Uh, we don't really know enough about these people. I can't really say if stuff is necessarily bad. It's just very meh. It's just there. Would you recommend this film, and to what people and why? Um, no, I can't recommend it unless you're really curious. Unless you've seen the original three and you're just curious to see what the remake is. Um, I can't even say it's like the greatest hits of the original, because they cut out a lot of that stuff. Uh, the skeletons that were from the original movie are practical. The skeletons in this they all look digital. Um, maybe they're not. I don't know. They just look digital to me, because you could definitely tell in the original that they were real skeletons. What type of people would I recommend this to? Just, I don't know, if somebody has a morbid curiosity, check it out. Are there any other films you can compare this to? I guess just other movies that are supernatural films. You know, that pretty much be about it. So the movie after that would be Cabin Fever, and this is I got with the rabbit face there. So from what I understand is this was going to be they were originally going to do, I thought it was two films shot at once. So after the third Cabin Fever, they were going to do they were sequels to the third film, which is a prequel. Adam Marcus and his wife were writing it, and it was called Cabin Fever Outbreak. I thought, which took place on an island, and then I heard that the next one was going to take place on a cruise ship. I guess that the original, the island one, got rewritten as the cruise ship, which I would have found both interesting, but I like the cruise ship idea. Those were then canceled, and then they decided to do the remake. So this is directed by Travis Z. Says from producer Eli Roth. Like Poltergeist, I I enjoy all three Poltergeist movies. I think Poltergeist is the best. I then like Poltergeist 3, then Poltergeist 2. In this case, with the three original, I would say Cabin Fever 1 is well, in order. Cabin Fever 1 is the best, then I like Cabin Fever 2, which is Ty West, who wanted to have his name removed because he did not get to edit the film. That was directed or edited basically by like the studio. And then Cabin Fever Patient Zero, is that what it's called? Patient Zero? Um I think it's Patient Zero. Yeah, Patient Zero. And that's the one I like the least. So because I, even though it's supposed to be a prequel, I don't really see where it fits into this. I never really, I've watched it a couple times, and I don't really see it as a prequel. I just don't know where it fits in. Uh, this obviously has a bigger budget than the original film, and it's taken, this is what I've read, taken from the original script. So it has stuff in it that Eli Roth couldn't do in the original because of like budgetary issues, maybe location issues, time issues. So it's back in here. Uh, Out of all of these, I think this one, in my opinion, might be the least offensive as far as remakes go. But the the way that Poltergeist is shot, the way that Cabin Fever is shot, especially low budget, uh, they're very raw looking. This is very studio looking. It's very Hollywood looking. It's very shiny. It has that very kind of glossy professional look, which I guess could be a compliment. Uh, the story more or less feels normal. It feels, you know, I I wasn't bored with it. I watched it all the way through. I only stopped it a couple times, and there are some things that are a little confusing in it. The whole pancakes thing in this. There is a dead dog at the beginning that has the virus, and the camera pans over, and we see, I think it's like his food dish or water dish, and it says pancakes on it. And then we cut to the kid, with the rabbit ears. And the second time we see him is he brings up the whole pancakes thing. So I don't know if he's talking about the dog. Is the dog named Pancakes? I don't know. Uh, Something else that annoyed me with this, and the sex scenes do bug me with this. So there's a second sex scene in this with the same actress but a different guy. Both of them are nude. At least the guy looks like he's nude, but she is nude, and we see her breasts and everything. I appreciate that. The first time, once again, she looks like she's nude. We see her breast. But the guy that she's with, if they just would have kept the camera away, we do see that he's in his underwear, like boxer briefs. And that really annoyed me. Take off the boxer briefs or just move the camera up a little bit so we don't see it. I'm sorry. You're not fucking her with boxer briefs on unless your dick is sticking out of the boxer briefs. If that's the case, just take the boxer briefs off. I hate stuff like that in films. It completely takes me out of it because I don't believe that they're having the passionate sex that they're allegedly having. Um, they gender swapped the deputy. So instead of it being, the guy, it's now a woman. And she's not as creepy as the guy, but she's okay. She's all right. They do have her with like some scar or something on her face, maybe just to make her look a little bit different. But she could have been a little more creepy. There's these kind of rednecks that are at a gas station. That's where the pancakes kid is. And yeah, I don't know. This is Poltergeist. I could see it being exactly the way it is. Like no money, like it didn't, like it made, what did it make? Um, so its budget was 35 million and it made 94.4. So okay. So it made money back. You want to do double its budget, basically. So it doubled its budget and made a little extra. Cabin Fever, it doesn't say its budget, but it says its box office was 39 million, which is not good, but this probably had a very limited run. Um, the director of this is, like I said, Travis Z. They're not. Let me see here. I always find it interesting when directors' names aren't highlighted. So he did. What other films did he do? So director wise, he's done 23 films. I mean, it's nicely shot. Uh, man, nothing I've heard of. Scavengers, Intruder, Midnight Man, um, Punk Rock Cannibals, a lot of short films. Yeah, he's really hasn't. Looks like he's more of a production designer. Done a lot of films, and he's a cinematographer also. So the film looks nice. The effects are good, but the original just stands out. Just its characters, like except for the jerk who runs around with the gun, who's a bit of a cliche. I can't tell you anybody. Um, the women in this are gorgeous. For the most part, the guys are good looking for the ladies. But the cabin is very big, but they don't really use a lot of it. I like the cabin in the first film better. Um, I like that Eli Roth was in the second film, or I'm sorry, in the first film. I don't know, maybe the director is in this. Maybe he does his own little director cameo, but I have no idea what he looks like. So, um, but I did like that Eli Roth is, for maybe even for budgetary reasons, he's one of the actors. There's just something very raw about the first Cabin Fever, and including that great ending, where the guy's like, "I made it, I did it," which is like the opposite of Night of the Living Dead, where the character is very quiet in the house and then he gets shot. In this, our character is very loud and vocal and happy about surviving, and he gets shot. He never has the virus, from what I remember. In the remake, we do see the virus starting on his hand. So, and then once he's shot, the camera a little bit later pans down to him, and I think the idea is that his hand is maybe bleeding over the water in the lake. It doesn't go to a close up or anything of that, but maybe that's what's going on. Uh, None of that stuff is as good. There's I like the stuff with the hillbillies. I like the stuff with the infected dog that just keeps eating infected people. Um, our main character that is, in love with our blonde actress, and they finally confess to each other that they like each other, just like in the first film, like Ryder Strong. Um, Once that character is all infected, she wants him to kill her, and they're in like a work shed, and he can't find anything but a shovel, and then he puts the shovel in her mouth and basically cuts her down to here, so her jaw's hanging off, and she's still like, kill me, and then he sprays the I hate being old, lighter fluid on her, and she's screaming for the lighter fluid, and then he sets her on fire, which is the worst way that we've discovered is the worst way to friggin' die, is to burn to death. So he's in this shed or this like little cabin thing, and there's no hammer in there. There's no nothing where he can just hit her in the head. It's like he this girl that he loves, he's now burning to death. But there seem to be other tools in there that he could have used. And then of course he ends up fucking the other girl. So a lot of love there, to the girl, our main girl, but the blonde. It's okay. It's just not, the first one just has that great feeling in it. I remember seeing it in the theater and just loving it. And just the town just kind of seemed like a ghost town. And the houses they went to that were on the lake that were probably more like summer houses, and there's nobody there. So they're all empty, and just everything kind of just seems like a ghost house, just this ghost town. It just doesn't do it for me. So I mean, we've already talked about a lot of this stuff, like who are the characters and the actors. All the acting is fine. We just don't really know a lot about people. I think one guy is studying to be a lawyer. And then one guy is a dick and he likes guns, and he's the guy that talks about squirrels. You don't really learn anything else about people. But the acting and everything is fine. The camera work is good. It's got some good shots, so it's got good sound, good picture. Editing is good. Soundtrack is good. The special effects are good. Nothing wrong there at all. Um, are there beautiful scenes? I don't know if you could call them beautiful scenes, but it is well shot. It does look really good. Did you enjoy the film? I I'd probably say out of all of these, this is the film that I liked the most. What were its bad points? It's just not necessary. But kind of like Poltergeist, uh they give us new stuff, they extend other stuff, they remove stuff. So it is kind of its own movie, but it's, the same but different. And so once again, if you see the original, I don't know if you have to see 2 and 3, but after you see because I recommend Poltergeist 1, 2, 3, and then as a morbid curiosity, go see the remake. But with Cabin Fever, you really only need to see the first one, even though I do recommend the other two. But you only need to see the first one, and then maybe check this out if you're curious. Uh, um, what scene did you enjoy? I like the dog, the diseased dog. I did enjoy that. I tend to like zombie dogs and stuff from like Resident Evil. So things that deal with dogs and cats and other kind of zombified or virus-fied animals I kind of dig. Uh was there anything that I didn't like? Mm, I guess the gender swapping of the deputy is fine. Lot of drone stuff in this, I've noticed. Uh it's way too sturdy, unlike a helicopter, where it still kind of has that motion to it. Would you recommend this? Yeah, I mean, after, if you're curious, after, if you like cabin fever, check it out. What, who would you recommend this to? People who like one location movies, people who like virus type of films or zombie movies, Evil Dead, things like that that just take place in like a cabin or out in the woods, and you just got all this shit happening. So now I really haven't brought up Child's Play a lot. So let's talk about this. So, and I know I'm saying so a lot. So, with that being said, um, I'm a massive Chucky fan. I love Chucky. Uh, I'm a huge fan of all the movies. I am a fan of the TV series. I wish I owned more like Chucky collectibles, but I do have some figures. And my friend Missy just gave me like a little Chucky, like a Bride of Chucky plush doll, which is pretty cool. I'm going to show that in an upcoming video. So when when I heard that this was being made, and it says from the producers of It, so of course it's a remake because it's a remake. I just said why? Why is this being done? We already have the entire Don Mancini series. Everybody loves Chucky in his different forms, especially like the Chucky 2 and Bride of Chucky iterations of him. And we just got done with season 3 of the TV show. They're already in talks or in works to do part 5, which I've heard is Chucky in space. Fingers crossed. Uh, this film is absolutely and completely pointless. It there's no, once again, a cash grab or something. I don't know. I guess, I mean, since the doll's electronic and it's not possessed, they could just take a chip, because at the end the doll does get destroyed. Oh, and what pisses me off is the kid's name is Andy and the doll is Chucky. They could have done a different name. They could have just made this a completely separate film all by itself. And maybe I would have liked it better. It is not viciously fun and clever. Sorry, Daily Dead. It is not. You got paid for that review. Uh, I remember, and it's not on this, but I remember seeing this when it originally came out, and there was a thing at the very beginning where it talked about how this film is in the future and the electronics that are involved and all of that in it. And it's not there. So unless I'm having the Mandela effect, I could swear, and maybe you guys down in the comments remember this, I could swear there was something at the very beginning talking about this, and it's not there because the doll is like, it's like a Surrey type of thing where it can turn on anything that is owned by this company. And I'm guessing it's supposed to be Apple because it's Buddy with an I instead of a Y. And everybody, of course, only owns, I think it's like Kelton or Keaton is the company. And it, let's see here. So Caslin. What's great is the guy who plays the owner for the company for Caslin is Tim Matheson, who was in Animal House, and he owned for a very long time National Lampoon magazine. I like him a lot, and so I loved that he was in this. I love that Mark Hamill is the voice of Chucky. That is great casting. And Aubrey Plaza, who I have had a crush on since Parks and Recreation, I think is absolutely gorgeous in this film. Absolutely gorgeous. Uh, I think the only other time that I could say that White Lotus, that's what I'm thinking of. White Lotus, she was beautiful in White Lotus also. I mean, I think she's just beautiful regardless, but those are the two things that I think she's really beautiful in. Uh, but I don't I don't believe that this doll, looking like it does, can operate TVs, computers, tablets, smartphones, cars, all that type of stuff, which is why I really do remember, I gotta remember that thing at the very beginning, like a crawl. But it wasn't a crawl, but it was that type of thing where it came up at the beginning, these like paragraph, and it talked about it. A whole lot of bloody fun. No, it really wasn't. Stuff that I did like in this, besides Aubrey Plaza, is I do like the creepy maintenance guy, who of course has to be overweight, fucked up hair, beard, and wears glasses. And he's nobody likes him. He's really creepy. And I really hate that they show those type of characters that way. I'm sorry. Not all of us that are overweight are that way. Maybe I have a thin guy once or twice. But I like all of his scenes, how down in the basement he almost kind of has this lab set up, that has bench saws and TVs, and he's spying on the different people and the tenants in the building, and of course the cameras are in like their bathrooms and stuff. And the one thing that's weird on his TV is with Aubrey Plaza is he spots her in her bathroom and she has a towel on. So she's about to take a shower, which I don't know. If you're probably in the shower, in the bathroom, and you're about to take a shower, you probably wouldn't have a towel on. And then he looks away, and we cut back to the TV, and then she's in her like bra and panties, and then she goes to take off the bra to get into the shower, and that's when the guy's TV shuts off. So underneath the towel, you have bra and panties. That's kind of weird. Why not just go in and like your bra and underwear, and then take it off and get into the shower, or just go in with a towel and drop the towel and get into the shower, or just go into the shower nude. If you know nobody's there, just go into the shower nude. That scene kind of bugged me, but or that thing that they did with him spying on her, I thought just didn't seem real to me. But I like that he has Chucky strapped down to the table. He's almost doing these kind of Frankenstein experiments on him, and because he wants to sell them on eBay for a lot of money, and he wants to do like diagnostics, and kind of he's got the drill, and he's like, well, let's see what's inside you, and Chucky's looking terrified. I like all the stuff with him. So I guess like Audrey Plaza, Mark Hamill, Tim Matheson, the stuff with the maintenance guy, I like that. um Oh, and of course they gotta have the shithead black kid in it. He can't be a nice kid. He's got to be, because it's kind of from like a rough neighborhood. That he's got to be a jerk to Chucky. He's got to be a jerk to other people. He's got to be this kind of urban ghetto kid. Where nobody else is like that. I guess at the end we're supposed to think maybe it was all an act because the main girl in it kind of grabs him, wanting his cell phone because she wants to check on where Chucky is, and he kind of chills out. So maybe it's just all an act. But I thought that was a little like, huh, okay, why does it have to be that way? The cop, the main cop that's in this, uh, he's a black guy, and so we got his black mother, and she kind of treats him shitty too, which I guess people could say, oh well, that's what mothers do. They always insult or put down their sons or something. So I thought that was just weird how on one side, which would basically be kind of everyone who's not black is nice and helpful and everything, but then on the other side where it's the black kid and the black mom, that they're all kind of jerks. And we got the electronic car that kills the black mother, and Chucky's operating the whole thing. There's a lot of stuff that Chucky does that if it's electronic and it's on a phone and it's recorded and it should be in his memory, he should be deleting. He should be getting rid of this stuff. But because the script demands it, um, it allows the other characters to see what Chucky is doing, even though Chucky seems to be smart enough to block this shit. Um, it's I did like this is gonna sound weird. At the very end, Chucky has Audrey Plaza hanging, and she's got kind of like a noose thing around her neck, and there's blood. She's got the blood. I think it's how do they have it? It's kind of like this type of thing, or whatever it is, but it's kind of dripping down her face. I thought she looked really hot. I got to admit, she's all kind of hanging up there with the noose and with the blood, and she's all got the gag. I thought she looked really hot, and so I like that scene. But and I like that the kids destroy Chucky at the end. There is a massacre that's in the toy store. I thought that was better in Puppet Master: The Little Reich. Near the end of that, I thought that massacre was much better than this one. The store, like the toy store that they're Zed's Toys or whatever it's called, I thought just looked cheap. Like they just found a deserted store and just made it up, and it just looked cheap to me, even though this is a Universal, I'm assuming. United Artists, or is it? I think it's Universal. No, Orion. A lot of these ones I thought were out of business. But I could swear this was, it says Orion. Okay. But yeah, I would think with these big studios that they could have done a better store. So this is another person who directed this one? This is Lars like Kelvilberg, Kelberg, something like that. I don't know. I get tired of trying to pronounce people's names. Um, Lars Kelvberg. There we go. And so I looked him up, and he did that movie Polaroid, which I do own. I bought it from Dollar Tree. I've never seen it, but he did Polaroid, and I guess that gave him, well, and in the same year he did Child's Play. So I guess that gave him enough clout to do Child's Play. So, because even with something like Cabin Fever, that director, see, everybody has to do. That's how Sam Raimi finds directors to do like the Evil Dead movies, is they normally have to do something that brings them like some sort of notice. So Where is... Must be down here. What did the director of Cabin Fever do? M for manicure? No, probably Scavengers is what got this director the job. But this director is also a production designer and DP, so maybe it's some of that other work. And then, Poltergeist, it would be that Monster House and City of Amber, where he directed both of those. So I don't know, man. But so I didn't do a rating for Cabin Fever. So if I did the five viruses, like if I like between 1 and 5 viruses, this would probably get a 2.5. And Child's Play, which I really wish this film never existed. To me, this is one wannabe Chucky. I really hate that they call him Chucky. Why they couldn't call him something else? It's funny is they're showing that there's a Buddy with an eye 2 coming out, and the Buddy 2 looks like an Aryan, blonde hair, blue eyes. I don't know if that's intentional. There's also a bear that doesn't really look like a bear that also does the same type of thing. Uh, I'm guessing this is supposed to take place at Christmas, which I never really got, until near the end. But the boyfriend of the Aubrey Rose character, who's a total dick, the son hates him, and eventually the guy dies. Chucky does kill him. He comes home from having the affair with Aubrey Plaza's character, sees the wife and kids, puts back on the ring, hugs the daughters, and all of a sudden we see him, and this has got to be like 8 or 9 at night, puts up a ladder, and he's like, I work all day, and now I got to come home and take down Christmas lights. Why? Why do you have to take down Christmas lights at like 8 or 9 at night? Why could you just wait till the next day or your day off or the weekend or whatever it is? Why do you have to do it so late? And then when the camera's looking down while he's on the ladder, you see that there's all these watermelons. Like he has like a watermelon field out there. And I'm like, what? That's weird. And so I don't why does he have watermelons? Um, and he falls. Chucky pushes him, and he falls and breaks both of his legs, and the bones pop out of the sides, so he can't get away. And then Chucky takes one of those machines that rips up dirt and basically like just takes his head off and all the skin and all that, and so he's dead. And I'm guessing what happens is Chucky brings the face of the guy, of the boyfriend, back to Andy, and I hate that he's named Andy. And I think the face is on a watermelon because the cops find him with it's just a skeleton, and his skin is all gone, like a skull. So I'm guessing Chucky put the face on the watermelon. Oh yeah, because there's like nails in the skin to keep it on the watermelon, and then they have to put the watermelon in they wrap it in like paper and try to hide it. So it's a lot of work instead of just maybe cutting off the guy's head and doing it that way. So yeah, I gotta give this like one wannabe Chucky. So it's we kind of went over the characters, the camera work. Yeah, there's some nice scenes. Once again, nicely shot, good sound, good editing, like the soundtrack. Sometimes the soundtrack does go over the voices in Cabin Fever. I didn't like that. I thought that was too loud. Maybe it's my sound system, but I wasn't a fan of that. The effects are good in this. Chucky looks good. Looks Looks like they do it the same way that they do the real Chucky. He didn't look CGI at all. Um, are there moments that you like? Yeah, I like the stuff with the maintenance guy. Did you enjoy the film? No, not really, but I wasn't bored. So, what do you particularly remember? Audrey Plaza and the maintenance guy. I remember that. I do really like Mark Hamill doing the voice, though. I thought that was really a great, a great addition. Is there anything you did not enjoy? Well, just the movie existing. I just don't see a point because they're not going to do anything with it. They've talked about doing a sequel, and they're like, well, Don Mancini is doing his own thing, so we can't do a sequel. I don't really know why they can't. I mean, they could just call this, I don't know, I guess they could call it Child's Play Returns, or I guess Child's Play 2. And we've had 3 Halloweens and 2 Halloween 2s. And so, I mean, I guess you could just call this Halloween or Child's Play 2, and we just have another Child's Play 2. But and since basically he's controlled by a chip, they could just put the chip into another doll, which they do hint at the end. It is, we do see a doll in the box, the buddy box, and its eyes do a little quick flash and it smiles a little bit. One of the things that I really do hate about this, and I think which is why it's supposed to be a joke about Apple, is at the very beginning it takes place in Vietnam, and there's a guy who's just kind of daydreaming. He's probably been working, like 80 hours a week, and this guy comes up and yells at him, like the foreman kind of yells at him, telling him to get back to work, and that he's fired. He says, finish this last doll and then you're gone. So the guy goes into the computer and removes all the safety protocols, and then finishes the doll, and it gets shipped out. And ironically, on the box there was a little bit of it's kind of like dented in, so it's kind of like it's damaged, like the doll itself is damaged. Why are those protocols in there to begin with? That's what I don't understand. Like, why are these protocols where the doll could kill somebody, but they have to turn them off? And he turns off like 5 different things to make the doll go nuts. And I don't understand why that stuff is in there to begin with. Like who programs it so the doll can kill and then or injure somebody or whatever, and then they're like, oh, okay, well now we gotta have that little button. It's kind of like the Simpsons episode, the Treehouse of Horror, with the you know with the evil oh my god, the clown from, oh come on, the clown from freaking Simpsons. Why is this killing me? Uh oh my god. Come on, Krusty, Jesus Christ. Fuck, John, come on. Like the evil Krusty clown where Homer just picks it up. It just says, there's the switch that says good, evil. He just puts it back to good. And then the Krusty clown is okay. It reminded me of that. Like, why are these protocols in there to begin with? I mean, I have this Optimus Prime, and if I look on the back, are there going to, should there be a switch that says good and evil? Or is he programmed to be evil? And then all I got to do is just go into the computer. I mean, like, why are these protocols there? I mean, you get what I'm talking about, right? So I guess the writers had to figure out something to do to make the doll go evil, since it's not, a doll done through like voodoo, since it's not like a real person in it. So that's something that I thought was really annoying. And then of course they're the guy who like programs the doll to be evil. We then see him, he jumps and he lands on the top of a car, which has happened with Apple. And that's actually one of the reasons why I won't buy Apple, is people have committed suicide because of the amount of labor that has gone into these products. People have actually died from them. So, which is why on the buildings you'll see that there are nets because people used to jump off. So that's why I think this whole thing, especially with Buddy with an I, um, it's supposed to be, Apple, iTunes and stuff like that. So I think that's about it. So yeah, three films I just don't think should really exist for no reason. I never want this to get any sort of sequels or anything to it. I just don't, it's just not worth it. Maybe when Don Mancini gets done with everything that he's doing, I don't know, maybe reboot it, maybe do something with it. But I could never, I don't know what they would really do. Don Mancini has had way too many movies and now 3 seasons of a TV show. So, and this isn't dark humor, while Chucky is. This is pretty straightforward. So I don't really see what they could do. I just don't want to see it. Cabin Fever, I'm actually surprised that they didn't do any sequels to this. I could see them maybe doing, straight to video, straight to streaming, one or two sequels to this, maybe following what happened after the town, that it then goes into a city or something, or they kind of stay away from the other two, the sequel and prequel, do their own thing. But so I'm actually surprised. I think it'd be cheap enough because it's just blood, and just virus skin, all eaten up. So I'm surprised that they never did. Poltergeist, I don't think that there'd be no reason to do sequels to this or anything. I don't. Um, I could almost see them doing a prequel, kind of like Pet Cemetery Bloodlines, which I hated, and them retconning a lot of this. So the film takes place before this, and the city decides to move just the tombstones, and the bodies are left there, and like people are being haunted by the ghosts, something like that, and they do a little bit of retconning to make the story make more sense, like they did on Bloodlines, which I hated. So I could see them almost doing like a prequel, but definitely not a sequel to this. Um, and I really hope that they don't try to remake this again. If they change this to like American Poltergeist or I don't know, Ghosts, Poltergeist from Hell, they just gave it a different title. Uh, um, then Cemetery Poltergeist, something. Just give it a different title. Then maybe this might have done better. But I only own it because it's Poltergeist. I wouldn't have owned it under the other name. So I don't know. So, but all right, everybody, that's pretty much it for these. So I'll see about doing another one of these for remakes. I'm very happy that they did make that are not these three, since I already did deconstructions on these. I'll find 3 more. I definitely already know one. It's it's my favorite in the series, and it's one of my favorite remakes. And I'm not going to say what it is until we do the video, and then I could find 2 more, as I'm sure I'm happy with. Yeah, yeah. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you watching this and hearing me blabber on about these movies. Let me know down in the comments. Have you seen any of these? The Poltergeist, the Cabin Fever, the Child's Play, have you seen them? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Uh, Maybe name some of your favorite, or actually some of your worst. We'll save the favorites for later. Some of your worst, like sequel remakes or remakes in general, um, those type of things. So, all right, everybody, thank you. I really appreciate it, and I will see you on the next video. Okay.